Now let's see how the story continues. It says that after they had left, that's of course the Magi or the wise men, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. We've spoken about that already. Joseph the dreamer is a reference to the Old Testament Joseph, and a comment on the upright character of Jesus's father here on earth. Upright character. Um, and in the dream it says, "Get up and take the child and his mother and flee to Egypt and remain there until I tell you, because Herod is coming to seek and destroy the child." Then Joseph got up and they all together went to Egypt, and there they remained until the death of Herod. And this was to fulfill what has been spoken by the Lord through the prophet, "Out of Egypt I have called my son." Now this prophecy here is Hosea 11 verse 1. And one of the things we need to continuously develop a habit for, I think, is not just to think that when Matthew or any other gospel writer or epistle writer quotes a piece of scripture from the Old Testament, it's not just a proof text. It's more than that. I think this is a call for us to go back and to not just look up Hosea 11 verse 1 and see if it fits, but to look up the whole chapter and see what does Hosea 11 say, and then understand more clearly what Matthew is getting at here. And in this case, it's a very beautiful thing that happens in Hosea 11. It's actually God's love song. God sings a song of love over Israel. And he says things like, "I was the one who taught Ephraim how to walk. I was like a father to a child, who lifted up the child and put him to his cheeks. And how can I give you up, O Israel? I will never give you up. I love you so much." It is a heartbreaking love song of how God promises to always stay faithful to his people. Now, in using that piece of scripture, what is Matthew doing? And he's saying two things. He's saying, if there is God and there is Israel, his people, then Jesus in the middle here is both God's love for his people. He's the fulfillment of this one here. He's the fulfillment of God's love for his people, God's eternal love and his faithfulness. Jesus in himself is that fulfillment. But as far as his people are concerned, Jesus is the one who embodies them. How does that work? Well, the prophecy, "Out of Egypt I have called my son," refers of course to Israel and to the Moses Exodus story. And so God is declaring his love for Israel, but what Matthew is doing, he's taking that piece of scripture and applies it to Jesus, thereby saying Jesus is the real Israel. Jesus is the real Israel. And that is something that we need to get our heads around if we want to read the Gospels right. That the story really is a big story that goes like this, that God created this world, but the world has fallen into sin through Adam, and then God called Abraham's family to fix the problem. One of the persons that I want to point to here is N.T. Wright, who has done some extensive writing about that, and who quotes a 3rd century rabbi who says, I created the world, and if Adam screws it up, I will call Abraham to fix it." And so the people of Israel have always thought of himself as the people who will fix the problem of the world through their dedication to God. Now the problem is, in the Old Testament we see that that didn't fully work out, because Israel was more often part of the problem than part of the solution. And now what Matthew is hinting at, even with just small statements like this, is that Jesus is the real Israel who embodies his people. Jesus embodies his people and presents them to God as holy and blameless. That's the kind of language that Paul and Peter later use in their epistles. And as far as God concerned, Jesus is this big gift to his people, the one who is in himself God's love and his faithfulness, as shown in beautiful scripture pieces like Hosea 11.